rough idea whether it's good to be in the equities or not. This was from AAII. Somebody had made this presentations, and I started using it a few years ago. That is to look at the relative strength of the market, which is in this case is Standard & Poor's 500, and AGG, which is a long-range bond fund. So at this, and the only thing you paid attention to is whether this relative strength is going down or up. So it's been up for a while now. So, and as you know, the market has been doing well. So that's it's just a quick check to see if you should be in the market. Okay. Next thing I look at is the sector rankings. There are more than 11 sectors here. I just put in a few other things in there, which are like microsectors, FANG Plus, QQQs, and a few others like S&P Internet, which is not part of the 11 main spider sectors. But this is the ranking using the UPI. So as you can see, FNGS has been doing really well. That is the top ranked ETF. And next is QQQ, and then XLK. So nothing surprising here. The reason I look at this is to see where I want to be in the market. So at this point, technology is doing pretty well. The next thing I look at is leverage ETFs. Cookie has just mentioned Tesla. Now I have 72 ETFs in this list, and I rank them daily, sometimes during the day also. So ranked again by UPI. The number one ranked ETF is Tesla. It's a single stock ETF, but it's leveraged 1.5 times. Now you may ask, why not go buy a Tesla stock itself? There's an advantage to owning an ETF, and that advantage is the price. You're owning this is $18, and not only that, there's another ETF called TSLS, which is short for Tesla. So you can short Tesla stock if you wanted to. One of the things which struck me today, none of the speakers have mentioned NVIDIA, which is very surprising because CNBC is full of talk about NVIDIA, and it has done really well. So in this list, if you are inclined to invest in Tesla, I would suggest TSLL. Not only the price is low, you can actually sell calls and puts with very little money. So you're not tying up. So if you want to buy TSLL, you can actually sell puts without tying up too much of your money. So the price right now is 18. So you may sell put for say 17 or 16 and collect the premium. And if it is exercised, you'll be buying stocks at a lower price. So that is the advantage of single stock ETFs. And of course, it's leveraged. I think TSLS is not leveraged. So that is a straight short. And then is the microsectors FANG. And that's also microsect FANG Plus. They have been doing really well. Now, if you look at, let's say, FNGU, it has returned 346% this year. That's the year-to-date return, which is more than Tesla. And it's definitely more than NVIDIA. The TQQ, which is one of my favorite ETFs, has returned 134.7% this year. It's been down last year quite a bit. The drawdown was almost 69%. And I will go through some of those things also. But anyway, I rank these and I want to be in top 5, 6, or whatever I feel like, but I will definitely be in the top 5 to 10 in this ranking. Now, if you look at the I mean, it's pretty hard to be invested in FNGU for the whole starting the whole on January 2nd, but you would have done really well if you did. So that's all I'm going to say about this ranking, that I look at the top, maybe top 10. And for example, and I have included single stock ETFs also. You see Tesla there. There's Apple, AAPU, Amazon, AMZU, Microsoft. They all have done pretty well because the underlying stocks have done well also. PayPal, PYPT, that got into a trouble earlier, maybe a couple of months ago, and actually short was doing really well. Unless somebody has any question about this ranking, I'm going to move on. So one of the things which I have been doing is switching between, well, let me just first go through leveraged. Oh, okay. I got this problem last time also. Oh, okay, we are back. So if you look at since inception, TQQQ started trading on February 11, 2010. It has gone up. Let me get the whole screen. It has returned 9,342% in about 12 years, which amounts to about 40.5% annualized rate. It will be very hard for there are stocks which have done better, but there are not a whole lot of them. So that's why I like the leveraged ETFs. The only thing which has done a whole lot better is the Bitcoins. So that's the index. There is no ETF as yet. I think BlackRock yesterday filed for one. That has returned an annualized return of 106%. But a lot of this return came in the early years. The only others, then I looked at a few other stocks. The Amazon has returned almost 31%. Tesla has returned almost 50% per year since inception. So there are stocks which have done better than TQs, but there are other ETFs which have done better than TQs also. So that's all I'm going to say about the return. I've already gone through the rankings. Now the relative performance. When I pick, I always look at let's look at it. So instead of T me, let's look at this. So these are the top 5 ETFs in that rankings. Tesla is this, and it's still going up. Whereas the semiconductor ETF has rolled over. Okay. So here is FNGU. Also, most, except for semiconductor, everything is still going up. So I look at this pretty much every day just to gain some kind of insight where I need to move up. So if I was invested in SOXL right now, I will be concerned and replace it with something which is ranked higher. So that's all I'm going to say about that. And of course, I always look at the charts, anything I invest. And this is my go-to format to look at the charts. This gives you an overall summary. It gives you when the stock started trading. That is this, and that is today's date. So it covers the whole, all the dates it has been trading. And during that period, how much it has returned. Annualized return has been 40.4%. This is a little bit more accurate than the other chart I have because it looks like I don't take into account the holidays that precisely. In any case, 1 month return is 27%, 3 months return is 63.5%, and of course, year-to-date return is almost 135%. It has been a little bit higher a few days ago. I was mentioning NVIDIA, so let's look at NVIDIA. That has returned year-to-date 199%. I feel more comfortable investing in TQQ than a single stock like NVIDIA. And of course, look at Tesla also, the ETF. TSL is the stock. It has returned 122% this year. TSLL, that's the single stock ETF, has returned 201%. I like to look at this. Pretty much all the investments I have an exit strategy. And this dotted line is the chandelier exit. As you can see, so it's like a sell stop. As the stock goes up, so does the chandelier exit. Okay. And of course, there are some other indicators I look at in addition. Okay. Of course, the ranking plays a big role. We already looked at the relative performance here. Oh, yes. Starting in 2020, I was wondering how is long-term investment, just buy and hold, will work with TQQs. And I started that experiment on May 5th of 2020. I invested $50,000 and market took off that at that time, and it has been up to 230, almost 236,000. Very good return, but I did not think that will last, and it did not. As of today, it is 119,000 or so, which is a 139% return. This is buy and hold. It has never been sold since that purchase. The drawdown has been enormous, 54%. And annualized return is 32%, but that is specific for that date invest. So we will see how it fares long term. I thought I could spare $50,000 for this experiment. In terms of my strategy of switching between the TQQ and SQQQ, this year, buy and hold is doing better than my strategy. Strategy has returned 84.3%, whereas buy and hold has returned 100. We saw this number before, 134%. So at least this year, buy and hold is beating out my strategy. But in the long run, I think my strategy of switching will do better. For example, 2022, buy and hold was 79% down, whereas my strategy had 84% with 14 trades. The trades this year has been very low. These are round trip trades, support trades. And so these are 23 results. So I feel that by investing in leveraged ETFs, I'm doing okay compared to buying single stocks. Of course, I do invest in single stock ETFs, and the nice thing about that is you can sell covered calls. You can sell cash covered puts to buy more. So that works out for me. I think that's all I have to present today. In case you have any questions, let me know.
Excellent, excellent presentation. Glad you could come.
Thank
Me
you.
too.
We're not going to let you take vacations again.
Hey, Taljit, on the previous chart, you had something called the UPI. Could you explain what that is?
That's called the Ulcer Performance Index. It essentially, I should have that slide because that's a commonly asked question. That's how I rank. I rank based on UPI. It's essentially, in words, it's a risk-adjusted return. However, like Sharpe ratio is nothing but annualized return for the stock you are considering, and you subtract risk-free return, which would be like 3 months treasury bills, and divide it by the standard deviation. That is the Sharpe ratio. And the professor at Stanford got Nobel Prize for that, Mr. Sharpe, or Dr. Sharpe. He's a professor of economics there. Yeah, I think he's retired now. But there were some people who said, why are we using standard deviation? Because standard deviation punishes the stock which only goes up, it never comes down. You should be rewarded for that. And that's where the Ulcer Index came in. Ulcer Index measures the drawdowns. If there's a sharper drawdown and long-term drawdown, it's essentially when you look at the chart, just look at it. It's here, let's say it was here, and now it's going down. Anything under that price contributes to, well, ulcer for the person who's invested. So from here to here, it was a pretty long drawdown. So Ulcer Index was pretty large, and that means it hurt the performance. When you UPI, basically the UPI number, Whereas if you look at something other than that, let's look at TQQ. See, it hasn't, so it reached a high here. So the downside from here to here is very small. So that means Ulcer Index was small. That means the UPI, Ulcer Performance Index, was high. That's how I rank the ETFs. Instead of considering standard deviation. The stock is going mostly up, so standard deviation is pretty large because standard deviation is, let's say this is 21 day. If you go 50 day, whatever moving average you want to use for standard deviation, it's the difference between the price and the moving average. And so that contributes to a large standard deviation, whereas this was going up, this is very little. So that's why I use Ulcer Index instead of standard deviation. And so standard deviation, so Ulcer Index is 2.1, which is very low. And that is the UPI number. By the way, I rank both of those. I calculate those numbers just for 1 month because I consider myself a very short-term investor. You know, if the stock or the ETF is not performing well, I just move on. If you're interested in the calculation of UPI and UI, just go to stockcharts.com and they have a write-up on it. And they actually have a stock prices from certain to certain date, and they calculate the UPI based on those numbers. And you can, if you have stock charts, you can actually scan a list of stocks or ETFs using UPI. Whereas I don't use stock charts, I am doing this in Amy Broker. And the person who actually was using this for mutual funds at one time was Michael Price. And I used to subscribe to his newsletter, and that's what he was using to rank mutual funds. So once mutual funds became unpopular, moved to ETFs, I wanted something very similar to what he had for mutual funds. So that's what I ended up with this kind of analysis here. If you look at this, it gives you a lot of information, and it's all coded this way. It looks like a spreadsheet, but it's not a spreadsheet. It tells me the UPI number, it's ranked. If you want to rank just by 1 month return, you can do that in Amy Broker very simply. So that's 1 month return. The next one is, so it doesn't, it looks like it didn't really change anything in the ranking, because of the reason is because UI is very small for these symbols. So it didn't make it really big change. If you rank it for over a longer period of time, there you will see the changes. I hope I answered the question.
Thank you, Taljit.
Mm-hmm. Now, can you, somehow I lost my icon for Skype, and I cannot stop sharing. So maybe you can do that for me. Are we done?
You're done unless anybody has any questions for Francisco. Thank you, Taljit.
Sure.
Does anyone have any questions for Francisco? Speak now or forever hold your peace, and we'll close the meeting.
Looks like everybody left. Must have bored them to death.
Oh, we have 21 people still here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, then. If nobody's going to speak up, I will and say adios, muchachos. Thank you for your patience through our technical difficulties, and we hope to see you all again next month. Have a good one. Bye now.
Bye, thanks.
Bye. Good night, everybody.